Zohar Gimel Amud Kuf Samach Beis Perush Lefesach Chatas Rovets. It says that the sin is crouching in the entranceway. The Tra'a de Gehenam is Patach Lemevad Nukma Mimach. That the entranceway to Gehenam is opened to do a revenge upon you. V'gam Perush Chatas Rovets. Another explanation of that the sin is crouching. Al derech chamor sonacha rovetz tachas masao. It's like the pasuk that says, "The donkey of your enemy is crouching under its burden." The iu lo yochil mispal al kasvoi chumra deoraisa chulu. That it cannot handle upon its shoulders the stringencies of the Torah. So these are two different ways of understanding this chatas rovetz. One, that it's the entrance to Gehenna that's ready to take revenge, and the other is that the sin of not being able to handle the stringencies of the Torah is, so to speak, crouching under the sin. Zohar Beraishis Daf Nundalet Amud Beis Halo Im Teitiv Se'ez Chulu LePesach Da Dina Ilah. What is this entranceway? This refers to supernal judgment, the Pischa Dechola, which is the entrance to all, the opening of all. Madas Amris Pischuli Sharet Tzedek, like it says, open for me the gates of righteousness. Tzedek here would be judgment. Chatas rovetz, the sin is crouching. Hausitra, the stavkas bei, vismashchas aloch, that is that side that is attached to it and is drawn upon you. Yahayinat yolach lisparaminach will be guarded for you to take payment from you. Meaning to say, if you sinned, it'll take payment from that because you sinned. And so the Pesach is the supernal judgment that's upon you and ready to give recompense. And it says that your bad will afflict you. Explaining the pasuk that he in his sibos, his different sources of reason, flips in his plottings to their actions and so forth. Meaning to say the action of the people of humans, that what they in accordance with what they do. So his sibos changes and his plottings change according to the actions of man. Tes Zohar ish parshas vayishlach taf kuf samech yomud beis the habeshaita de barnash asila alma says, at that time when a person comes to the world, miyad is damin behadei yitzer hara, the evil inclination comes together with him. The umekatrig leila barnash tadir, that always accuses the person, kamadas amres lefesach hatas rovetz, like it says, at the entranceway the sin is crouching. Meaning to say, when you come into the world, you have the yitzer hara that joins you at the entranceway to the world. My chatas rovetz, what is the sin crouching? Do yitzer hara, that is the evil inclination. V'David hachinami kari chatas, so too David calls it sin, calls the yitzer hara sin. Besukkah daf nun beis amud aleph, David karo tamei chulu, David calls it impure in Gemara Sukkah. V'ayin perek gimel diyuma daf lamed vav amud beis v'chein b'David hu omer chatanu chulu, so too by David it says we sinned. You'd have to look over there. Ramaz sham perush tam k'dimas hayitzer hara she'agvuros could be liated, and the Ramaz explains why the yitzer hara comes first before the yitzer tov at 13 and so forth, because in terms of the Kabbalistic process of creation, strictnesses come down first before the kindnesses. And this is similar to the statement of our sages that in the beginning it came up into his thought to create the world with the attribute of judgment. And only then, Shitaf Ba'midas Rachamim, he included afterwards the attribute of mercy when he saw the world couldn't stand. So the Gvuras come down first. But in another place it explains that this is similar to the concept that the peel comes before the fruit, or where the klippa was created before the fruit, and so forth. Just like the chaff and the strains of that cover the wheat come before it, or created before it, or grow before it. So too, this is the explanation. Why is it that you have more goats at first in the beginning of the pack? So too, the korban chatas comes from these goats, because you are corresponding with this concept of that the klippa kadma lepri, just like the goats come first in the pack. Like this is explained in another place in the verse, and one goat as a korban chatas for Hashem v'ayin lekaman sifid aleph. Baramaz sham lepesach chatas rubitz pesach ze ha husod yisod nukva de kedusha chulu, says that the entranceway is crouching ready for sin. This is the concept of the feminine yisod of holiness. And the first letters of the Pesach Chatas Rubitz is Rachel backwards. Rubitz is Reish, Chatas is Ches, and Lefesach is Lamed. Mezeu Kanal Binyan Ha'evin Gedola Al Pia Be'er, and this is like the concept of the well of water, and there's a big stone upon it, and that's the Yetzer Hara upon the well. The well itself is the Kiperush HaBe'er Hainun Gam Ken Yesod Nukva. That the well is also the concept of the feminine Yesod. And it can be in holiness, but you have to take off the Yetzer Hara, which is the stone. So to here, you have the chatas in the entranceway is the sin that's, so to speak, on top of the feminine yisod. Which is not the case with the good inclination. That comes after 13 years and 1 day. And so too, the Ramaz says that this entranceway hints to the entrance of the womb, Rechem Ha'im. Hisham hu chilek achizasum yom bo el chava. Because that's where its portion is, the sin, when the snake, so to speak, came on Chava and had his way with her, that's where, so to speak, he's crouching. That's where, so to speak, the crouching snake is from that time. V'rashi Tevos, Pesach Pnimi Tichon Chitzon. So the word Pesach is composed of the entranceway, the inner, and the middle. Pesach is Pnimi, the inner one, the middle one, Chitzon, and the outer one. Right, so the inside, the middle, and the outside. Gimel Kelim should be a sod. And these are the three vessels in the feminine concept of Yisod, Cheder, Ve'aliyah, Uprusdor, Aikan Lashona, which are, as is known, the halachic technical terms of the room, the second floor, and the entranceway of the feminine opening of Yisod. And so that is reflected physically just as it is spiritually. So that's the Pesach Hatas Rovets. So the entranceway we're saying is the Rechem Ha'em, and therefore the word Pesach hints to this as well. Ubemeore or os ches sof siv zayin cheder uprusdor. It says you have Nikra B'Shem Kli Yisod Nukva. So you have this vessel of the feminine Yisod, the room and the corridor. Hachitzon Prusdor Yerushalayim. So the outer one, the hallway, that corresponds with Yerushalayim. Apnimis Cheder Tzion, and the inner one corresponds with the concept of Tzion, which is either the Mikdash or the Holy of Holies, and just like you have that's, so to speak, the room, the inner sanctum, so to speak. Cheder Horasi Makom Haherion, just like it says, the room of where I was given birth to or inseminated, and that is the place of where this happens. Arkan Lashono, just like it says in Shir Hashirim. Cheder Harasi. So you have this term Cheder, and that refers to that place as well in the Nukva. So if that's the case, the sin crouching at the entrance, so the entrance, we said, is going to be these concepts of the hallway, the prusdor, and the cheder. So if it corresponds with Tzion, the Mikdash, the sin, the Satan, the sin, so to speak, looks towards the Mikdash, which is this level, and destroys it. Miskara b'sonim shel Yisrael, and this is also a concept of judgments against the enemies of Israel, so to speak, and it awakens judgments upon us, chas v'shalom. Vaynu lepesach ki knesses Yisrael nikras pischi li, because on the other side you have the concept of the souls of Israel, and they say, like it says in Shir Hashirim, open for me, that you can have this opening, meaning to say that the Knesset Yisrael is the feminine concept of the souls of Israel. And it says, open for me, antu pischalalali, you are, so to speak, an opening that I should go in, that I can go up into. So which is similar to saying, this is the gate to Hashem, which corresponds with the feminine concept, or the entrance to the Mikdash. Okay, and lechein sarich lios v'ata timshol bo, and therefore, in order to counteract this negative force that's against the Holy of Holies, the room of the inner sanctum, which corresponds with the inner concept of the feminine, you have to, so to speak, rule over the Yetzer Hara that wants to rule over that concept. Like it says, Hashem should yell at you, and that's actually also at least talking about, where it says Satan, but it's against the Kohen Gadol, like it says in Zechariah. So it's at least connected in that way, that pasuk. Yud od inyan lefesach hatas. Another concept of the entranceway of sin, b'zohar sof parshas vayakel, daf reish yud tes sof amud beis al pasuk be'etziv tel dibanim. It says you will. One of the curses to Chava was that it will be painful, it will be difficult to give birth to children. Just like the ram, the wild ram, so to speak, that needs the snake to bite it, like it says in, he's going to bring this, that what does it mean, Kyle Tarog, that when the ram cries out, that when it needs to give birth, Kodesh Baruch Hu brings there this symbiotic relationship of this supernal great snake to, so to speak, bite its rechem, and it helps it give birth. Ayin bezohar b'shalach taf nun beis amud beis u'b'parshas Pinchas taf ish mem tes u'b'pirish Rashi b'tilim ish simin mem beis al pasuk ayil tarug, and Rashi brings something similar in Tilim apparently. V'asi v'nashich l'gabei hahu asor v'olidas chulu, and it comes, the snake, and it bites in that place, and it's able to give birth. V'chol dalaman begin the amra siyar chulu, and all of this is connected to this because the moon said, and so forth, to be smaller. V'tema amai itztir chavila dachulu. So the question is, why do we need a snake here? Mai dichsiv lefesach hatasrov. It's like it says that the sin crouches at the entranceway. So we see that they're giving birth. You have this snake, which is, so to speak, the sin, and it crouches at the entranceway of the womb of the ram. Ma'ila Pesach, Ahu Pesach, these Ada, Olada, La'afka, Nishmas, and La'alma. So what's this entranceway? It's that entrance that is future, prepared in the future to give birth to and to bring forth the souls to the world. So this ram that needs the snake is compared to the source of the souls of Israel, which is similar to what he said before, that you have this Knesset Yisrael, that we say Pischili in Perek Tes here. And here we're in Perek Yud, where he brings a similar concept that this entranceway is for the Neshamos to come out. So the snake there is at the entranceway there to bring them out. And here it seems to imply that the snake, so to speak, helps in this process. But Mikdash Melech Sham b'Shem Nir Bezem Harachav. So the Mikdash Melech says that it seems that we have a statement, explanation from Reb Chaim Vital. Hainu Pesach Livnas Hasapir Sham Chatas Rovets Lianek Shiure Hazuama Ad Kan Dvarav. So the Rechav says this is the entranceway of the Heichal of Livnas Hasapir, which is in terms of the Heichalus of Olam Habriya, I guess, because it's I guess one of the first Heichalos that we have kavanos for in the brachos of Kriya Shema. And the entrance to that Heichal, that's where sin, so to speak, crouches to get a nurturance from the leftovers of the impurity. But the Mikdash Melech, even though he brings that proposal, that's what the explanation is from Rav Chaim Vital, and Yerub Bezeh, he himself gives another explanation. Remains to be seen what that is. Bibiur Ezor Parshas Pinchas Al Maimer Daf Reish Mem Tes Ayil Tarog. So if Tibur Hamaskal B'Shoite is these Abras Estimas Daf Mem Dalar Aleph Beis Perush Hatam. So Biur Ezor Mistama from the Alter Rebbe and the Mittler Rebbe, that it says that when it gets pregnant, it gets closed up and it needs to be opened by the snake. Hatam ki b'shas haleda ikar hanefesh begufi hanefesh habahamis b'sucha hanefesh elokis behalam. And the reason is because at the time of birth, the main concept of the soul in the body is the animalistic soul, and the godly soul is hidden. So when that's like we're saying that the Yetzer Hara comes first. Kanal Sif test the Yetzer Hara maktim lavo take off miyad b'leidaso. Yetzer Hatov ba'achar yud gimel shanim, and the good inclination comes after 13 years. V'yomechad in one day. Shlechin nikra Yetzer Hara zakin uksil, and that's why the bad inclination is called the old foolish old elder. V'Yetzer Tov nikra yeled miskein chulu, and the good inclination is called the impoverished child. Because it's younger, it comes later at 13. And this is just like Esav was the firstborn, corresponding with his concept. He corresponds with the Yetzer Hara, as opposed to Yaakov corresponding with the Yetzer Tov. Therefore, the snake is, so to speak, waiting there at the entrance of birth. Because Yetzer Hara comes together with it. So too, the animalistic soul is the snake skin that covers you, that you have to shed, so to speak. Therefore, that's why the sin is, so to speak, crouching at the entrance. So too, because the opening of the womb comes from above, from a high place, and the desire of the snake is to get a nurturance specifically from the high place. And if the giving birth is such a high holy thing, from a makif, so to speak, that's where the klippa wants to get a yunika. That on that high level, darkness is like light, and therefore it can also get a yunika. Like it says in the Maimer, how Yaakov fought with the angel of Esav, and they brought up dust until up to the Kisi HaKavod, meaning to say up to the Makif L'chor. He also wants to say, oh, I'm the firstborn, and my portion should come first, because the klippa comes before the fruit, the peel comes before the fruit. Kitzer, so in short, Pesach, for the entranceway, Hainu Pesach Haleda, that's the opening of the to give birth. Sham Chatas Rubitz, that's where the sin crouches. Bichinas Nachash, the Nashich Laha Yeles, or the snake that bites the Shiram. Shirach Matzar, that it's her womb is too narrow to give birth. Ki Yetzer Hara v'Nefesh Bahamis him kodmin b'shas haleda, the klipa kadma, because the bad inclination and the animalistic soul come first at birth, because the klipa comes before the fruit. Al kain omid shama nachash v'yonik ma'apsolis chulu. Therefore, the snake, so to speak, stands there to get nutrients from the leftovers. Vayim b'Torah or parshas va'era b'dibur maskil chein emor lebnei Yisrael minyan psolis yotze b'shas leda chulu. Look what it says about the concept of the extra things that come out at the time of birth that correspond with this yanika. So I guess that would refer to, the umbilical cord and the placenta and things like that correspond with the extra things that come out that are like the shiraim, the psolis, that corresponds with the yanika to the klippas.